All right. Good morning, everybody. We started early. How do you like that? We're going to let everybody filter in for a little bit while we catch up. We've got a lot on the docket today. And everybody, please welcome Sports and Fitness Rants. And let's, he was just, I asked him, if he'd like to share his feelings and we go through some therapy because we're living in such a sensitive time. So tell me about how all the commenters are abusing you.
Yeah, man. So once again, man, shout out to AOH, man. Shout out to everybody in the comment section, the chat, man. Everybody in there that came in already. And yeah, I was just saying, man, they're trying to make me feel bad about myself. They're trying to make me feel bad about my name. So I've been getting a lot of this little red Robin. Oh, poor Robin, little Robin. A lot of little mans I'm getting a lot of now. And
Wow, that's rough.
People they try to bully you. Is what they're trying to do. But this is more the same what we talk about in society right now. These people really believe that these words, that these comments, that this stuff really bothers me or upsets me. And that's why we laugh. And that's why I have that whole playlist, that whole segment of LeBron James fans say weird things. Because it always seems to be the same people over and over again. And that's why I always tell these people the same things, man. Just go ahead and make a video. You guys can tag me in the video, make the video, and we can go back and forth about basketball. But that's never what it's about, man. They're always trying to make me feel bad and they're trying to hurt my feelings.
Right. And then they turn around and question you for criticizing LeBron when it's based in reality. And all they want to do is belittle people because you're bringing light onto reality. Oh, it's weird.
It gets weirder and weirder, man. The more
videos
you do, the more facts you put out, the more things that people come out and say things, like I said, and they try to make you, like I said, feel bad about yourself, or they want me to go away. They want you to stop talking about LeBron James. Please stop talking about LeBron James. That's what they want you to do. Just stop talking about him. Talk about something else, please.
What was the post I saw? What the guy who created an account 20 minutes ago and posted how many things in that time?
I told the people out there, listen, I have a couple of rules as far as engagement on my channel. I have a couple of very simple rules. It's very simple because, like I said, I adhere to the same things that I expect other people to adhere by. And it's quite simple. So people will complain that I've blocked them in the past. So they're quick to go and make another channel. And this one person in particular, he made a channel 20 minutes. And in 20 minutes, he had 7 comments on one video in 20 minutes. So you literally made the channel just with the sole intent to comment on my channel, but not comment about basketball or try to debate me as far as what I'm spitting basketball-wise. It's once again to hurt my feelings. So that's why I find it comical oftentimes where these people just come out with all these different channels, but it's one person. And that's why LeBron James has 100 million followers, because each one of his fans account for about 10 or 20 followers because they make all kinds of accounts.
I just want to tell everybody a little bit about what's in store today as they're coming in, and I'll go down the rundown again. You saw the thumbnail. These NBA players need to be spanked. They're fumbling over themselves. Adam Silver, everyone else is fumbling over themselves to figure out how to motivate these guys. Well, I think you need to get out the belt, personally. I want to ask viewers how many people got spanked will come when they were growing up and what they think about that. I want to talk about the Embiid reporter thing. I know it's old news, but I ranted about it in my members section, and I think I had a take that wasn't really widespread. I want callers to call in and provide specific examples of where you saw an NBA player do something that was terrible, and because that player didn't face consequences, it led to more bad behavior. At 9:20, or roughly there around, Jonny Arnett is going to call in. I invited him because his most recent video had a few points that I found intriguing, and I wanted him to expand on it. We're going to talk about what athleticism actually means. And we're going to talk about just all of these shit talkers in the world that face no consequences and really need to get beaten up, like when you walked home from school in the old days. Um, and look, we can go right back to last night. Sports and fitness rants. We can go right back to last night and look at LeBron's triple double. And let's shout out to Scap Attack, who is doubling down on his love. He's doubling down on his love for Jokic after being
Yeah, he
called out
is.
for being called out for it. The thing is, nothing that he's saying is untrue. And the difference between Jokic's triple doubles and LeBron's, could it be any more clear that LeBron's triple doubles are hollow when you still know that if you took LeBron off the court, the team would do better? Wrap your head around that. Now, I know LeBron fans are in denial, but those of you watching, we have proof. We have proof. The Lakers over the years have done better when LeBron is out. I mean, we have proof. You can make all the excuses in the world that you want, but bottom line is that we have proof that the Lakers don't need him. So these stats can't really be that important. On the other hand, Jokic comes out and they can't beat the fucking Pelicans. Pardon my language. Trying to improve on that. So there's a taste of what's coming today. I didn't mean to interrupt your therapy session, sports and fitness rants. Go ahead and get out the rest of your feelings about all these mean commenters.
No, listen, man. You said a lot of great things right there, my man. You said a lot of great things. You know, when you talk about the whoopings, the quote unquote whoopings, and the spankings, and all these things that we called it growing up. That goes back to accountability. Your parents held you accountable. Whoever it was that was in charge of you, your guardian, so to speak, they held you accountable about whooping your ass. That's what happened back in the day. And I've told people many times on my channel, that I'm the oldest of four boys. And my father, and my mother, they held me even more accountable than my brothers. And oftentimes I didn't even do anything, but I took the brunt, I took the beating, so to speak, because I was held accountable for the older brother. So for a lot of these people that we talk about, this generation coming up, a lot of these people, they don't believe in that kind of parenting, so to speak. Now, you have to be gentle with children. You can't do these kinds of things. They'll call the police on you. They'll call those child services on you now if you start beating your kid or spanking your kid. And in fact, we see now in society that might be, in fact, what could help cure a lot of this problem, man. It's like you said, someone getting slapped across their face and understanding that you're going to be held accountable for the things that you're doing, some of the things that you're saying. So, like we said before, these people will say all these crazy things in the comment section. But what really bothers me the most is the personal attacks when a lot of these people are not willing to put themselves on camera or to put themselves out there. That's why I often tell people, if you're going to make a personal attack about the way that I look or the way that I'm dressed or because I have Michael Jordan posters on my wall in the background and you want to say that I live in my mother's basement, which I don't, by the way, but if you want to say things of that nature, then you should at least have enough within yourself to put yourself on camera and face me face to face, so to speak, and put yourself out there. Don't hide behind the keyboard and hide behind the comments. That's what I find very cowardly about a lot of these people, man. And they try to talk about things that they have no idea about, like integrity and class and honor or respect, things of that nature, man. So this is why we often laugh. And like I said, we're always laughing at these people. We're never laughing with them.
Wow, we got a lot of people active in the chat section. But Robin and I are
They
already
talking
rolling.
about the ass whoopings, man. They know, listen, they know that the ass whoopings are valuable. We're not talking about abusing your children. We're not talking about abuse. Those are two totally different things, man. I did not get abused growing up by my father or my mother. I do not have any resentment toward my parents because they whooped me. My dad whooped me with all kinds of things. My dad hit me hard sometimes, and I was like, damn, why'd you hit me so hard? I'm only 8 years old. It didn't matter. I never felt that it was abuse. That dude was doing what he had to do, and I'm a better man today because of those ass whoopings. They were valuable. Some people do get abused. Don't get it twisted, though, man. There's a difference there, man. And some children need some ass whoopings. They need guidance. They need accountability.
Madman says I got whipped with tree switches.
You got those switches. They know. See, some of these people know, man. You got held accountable, man. Listen. Everybody was eligible to whoop your ass. Your neighbors could whoop your ass. The people in the same building as you, they could whoop your ass. There was nothing illegal about that. There was nothing wrong with that because if you was doing wrong, they would set you straight. You knew
Speaking
that.
of speaking of it not being illegal, walking home from school was an adventure every goddamn day in survival. If somebody found your ass, it was up to you to survive. So and listen, there was an important lesson there. You didn't walk around talking shit for no goddamn reason. You wanted to get home safe, right? I mean, I'm talking about like kids that had problems, the older kids that like their own form of therapy was to go and pick on little kids. Um, today, today you have just pieces of trash everywhere, whatever age, and they don't have anything else to do, and they just walk around talking crap to adults because there aren't any consequences. And one of these days, I'm going to snap and I'm going to go to jail. And I'm not so sure it won't be worth it. I'm just going to fucking kill one of them. But I was hoping that Uncommon Sense might call in because he did an episode several weeks ago talking about the trash talker challenging Charles Barkley. And, you know, Barkley had to be like, well, here's Barkley, much bigger man, an athlete, an accomplished NBA superstar who has to just like quietly walk away because if he beats that person's ass who deserves to have their ass beaten, he's going to come out on the losing end of it. Now, on one hand, I don't want to advocate for violence, but on the other hand, when someone deserves to have their ass beaten, the only way you're going to stop people behaving that way is to perhaps have their ass beaten. Apparently, so you got spanked. I got spanked. A lot of people in the comments got spanked. Of course, there's probably a fine line where it turns
So the
into
people
something.
in the comments, yo, shout out to everybody in the comments in the chat right now, man. You guys understand what we're talking about. Shout out to my man GoCast Hoops. Hey, shout out to Jonny Arnett. I think I seen him in there also.
Oh, is he in
Shout out
here?
to Johnny, man. But yeah, you guys understand, man. That's how it was, man. Once again, it's about the responsibilities of like I said, the accountability that that's lacking right now. Everyone today is a victim. You weren't a victim back in the day. There was no victims, man. There's no victimhood. I used to talk and tell stories on my channel about when I was going to school in the city, right? And you'd be on the back of the bus, right? And people would be having Yo Mama dissing contest on the back of the bus, talking about Yo mama so fat, yo mama this, yo mama that. And you were literally making fun of other people's mamas, but it wasn't to having to get into a fight or anything of that nature. It was the old adage, the sticks and stones may break my bones, but the words will never hurt you, man. And we used to crack on each other and do those kinds of things, man. We talk about the sensitivities of a lot of these players today and a lot of people in society today, man. It's the sensitivities of people. You tell a joke or you make a joke or once again, you do something in jest, things are taken out of context, things are taken the wrong way, and everyone, once again, feels like they're a victim of something. And it's insane right now, man. So once again, man, we talk about how we were raised back in the day, man. Like I said, it was a blessing, man. We all blessed for those things, man. Once again, man, you guys know, man. I see y'all in the chat.
Does the Bible say where's the spare the rod, spoil the child? You don't truly love your child if you're afraid to discipline your child. Listen, if you for the maybe there's some argumenting to be made, but I'll tell you one thing: the fucking message got through. And when the consequences were real and the consequences were painful, all of a sudden you remembered, maybe I'm not going to do that again. It works. It works better than some other things. It really does. Speaking of sensitive, I didn't finish like part 3 or 4 of what LeBron brought to the Lakers when I was exposing how much LeBron has cost the Lakers, and I stumbled across an article that mentioned Jeannie Buss set up their own Lakers funded therapy, whatever, like their own on premise therapists for these players to deal with their tough lives. And I was like, well, here's another cost. And
See, this is what we're talking about, man. Like, you're trying to sell to the everyday people some reality that's not there. When people that are doing these things in reality every single day, people who are working jobs every single day. And once again, this is what we're talking about. People who are ungrateful, who are unwilling to once again show the respect to the fans, the people who are in fact paying their salaries, and like I said, are coming out to support these guys. But we question what they're really playing for. When we say that these guys are just playing for the money, we're not talking about every single individual player in the NBA. We're talking about an overall feeling that we have about these guys. And why do we have this feeling that they don't necessarily care for the fans or care for the game? Because they don't seem to give the effort on a consistent basis. They seem to look for ways to miss games, to avoid games. They look for ways to make the league not competitive. These are the problems that we've seen going on a consistent basis. It's the consistency of these guys. So when we talk about the NBA coming out with a flopping guideline, once again, you're taking away from the competitive nature of the game. When you hear people say, oh, I saw guys flop in the 80s, I saw guys flop in the 90s. Yes, guys may have tried to sell calls, sell fouls by flopping, quote unquote flopping, but we're talking about the consistency of which it was happening in the league. It was never taking away from the competitive nature of the game. So once again, we talk about them now coming out with a 65 game minimum for the players. This all goes back to the thing that we're talking about. Are these guys really out there with the love of the game? Would they really in fact be playing if there was no money involved? When these guys talk about the fans the way that they do, and we talk about, accountability and things of that nature, when they talk about us or talk down to us this way as if we're not important, once again, I always say the same thing. The players make the game. There's no game without the players. But there is no NBA without the fans. There's no league for these guys to play in to show and highlight their skills. This is what we talk about. I don't care if an NBA player ever signed an autograph for me or ever took a picture with me or ever shook my hand or gave me a high five or gave me a time of day. I don't care. That's not how you show me you respect me as a fan. The way that you show us you respect us, the way that I always
Hey,
felt as
Robin.
a child growing up, is by
Robin,
the effort I watch these guys give, man. And these guys today, it ain't the same, man.
you're so skilled at ranting. I hate to
I'm
interrupt
sorry,
it.
man. I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm
No,
taking over the
but
thing right now.
yeah, don't be disrespected. I'm going to rein you in every now and then. I there was a super chat on the screen. I already changed it. Danny Jones, what up? Sports T, salute. Sports T, stick around because I am going to mention the Embiid thing a little bit, and I know you had an episode. I think it was on Man Down Sports, or maybe it was your own show, but it will come up. You guys, Jonny Arnett is a new father, so his time's limited. But he
Oh,
put up,
man. Yo, shout to my man, Johnny, man. Congratulations, man. For real. That's awesome, man. Yo, shout to Sports T. I see Sports T is in the building.
yep.
I see you, girl.
Scrolling through these, you see anything else? You see anything else that I need to throw up on the screen? The comment section is so.
No, these guys are, like I said, man, everybody's alive right now in the chat. So shout out to everybody out there for real, man.
It's a new world when AOH starts quoting Bible verses. Listen, that shit was drilled into my head. Drilled in. I know the Bible better than a lot of people, believe it or not.
Oh, shout out to my man,
Drilled in.
Franchise Sports TV. What's good, man?
What's up, Franchise Sports? Need to get Zay 93 on someday, because you know what's just fascinating to me are the LeBron converts, the people who actually lived through the brainwashing and came out the other side, because to dig into their brains and what happened to them and how they finally saw the light is pretty interesting. Which brings me to Jonny Arnett, finally. In his video, and I'll also a shout out to the Real Mind Crime also. I'll mention Real Mind Crime real quick. He had a video in which he showed a LeBron fan reacting to Michael Jordan and having his eyes opened. And I sort of have a problem with it and I sort of don't, because I understand the influence of witnessing something live and why that would affect you. So LeBron fans who grew up thinking, oh, and they're being told, oh, this is the man. That's one thing. And when I was growing up watching Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and later Michael Jordan, I didn't go back and try and find Wilt or Bill Russell games. It wasn't physically possible, by the way. I couldn't have if I wanted to. The internet was far from existing. I had 3 channels that you could click through. So even if I wanted to do the due diligence and go back and give those guys a fair chance, it wasn't actually possible. But I'll tell you what I didn't do. I didn't talk shit about people I didn't know anything about. There was no need. Now, these guys who wake up and realize, oh, wow, look what Michael Jordan did. Great. Good for you. But for those of you who are talking shit without doing your research first, shame on you. Well, why would you talk about something that you don't know something about? Why would you talk about something that you don't know something about? You can like who you were growing up with. No problem. No problem. I get it. But don't start trashing people you've never looked at before. That's absurd. And Jonny Arnett had a couple of specific examples. Like he mentioned somebody trashing Brent Barry. I guess because he's white and they just assumed he was unathletic. And Jonny Arnett had to say, well, you're talking about a guy who dunked from the free throw line with his warm-ups on, and then he brought in a modern example of, well, here's Kyle Anderson in the better NBA who's, slow as hell. So don't talk shit about people that you've never looked at before. These are the types of, and that type of behavior shouldn't exist. Like, isn't that common sense, or wasn't it common sense for the older people that if you say something you don't know anything about, you're going to get humiliated for doing that later, and therefore you learn to keep your mouth shut? And I'm going to assume that that's Johnny. It is Johnny. So, Johnny.
Oh, I'm about to say, I wanted to respond to what you just said, man.
Go ahead. John, I just want to let Johnny in.
No, let Johnny go, man. Let him get a chance, my man. I know, congratulations, man. Good to see you, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm very, very tired these days, but she's about a month old, and couldn't be more blessed. So, no, it's good, and thanks for having me on AOH, and it's good to see you again, Sports and Fitness. That video, it was interesting because I mentioned in the video that usually I play defense, when it comes to this topic. When people talk about old school eras, the I love this game era and all that type of thing, like they're usually going after, their athleticism, their lack of skills. They're finding like outlier examples and saying the whole league was like this, And so usually I try to explain, it wasn't really the case, that sort of thing. This was the one time where I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to play offense. I'm going to use your stupid logic against you guys and have you see that, there is really no perfect league out there. And so I talked about how Kyle Anderson's one of the slowest small forwards in NBA history, how guys are now modern athletes and incredible, but apparently they have the durability of a graham cracker because, many of the best players in the league are like freaking sitting out all the time. You can't get Joel Embiid, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis to stay on the floor. And so just went on over and over again, just basically roasting them. And what was interesting is that was kind of eye-opening for a lot of younger fans. That was one of the best receptions I had to younger fans from younger fans, because they were like, oh, okay, you can do this with our era too, So it was fun. It was a fun exercise. It was a little bit different. I tried to wrap up the video at the end being like, this is what's beautiful about basketball. Like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, they're not the fastest. They're not the most incredible from a pure athleticism standpoint, but they're amazing at what they do because of their skills, because of their basketball IQ, just their basketball minds. They know how to execute better than any of the other guys out there, and that's why they excel. And to me, that's what makes basketball so special. I think that's why Steph Curry became so popular. He's a 6'3" guy. I'm 6'3". I was like, look at him dominating out there, and he's 6'3". So I think that's a good example of just what makes basketball so special. They're not all Victor Wembanyama out there or Wilt Chamberlain out there,
You already touched on it, but a sense I got in your video that I actually wanted to talk to you about today is that you finally hit a threshold. Like you kind of have been tolerant of this
Sure.
new generation of fans, and you finally said, "Okay, enough is enough."
Sure.
Like, can you tell me what was going through your mind prior to that? Like, how long have you been debating whether or not to just say, "All right, shut up and look at the reality"?
Well, I was trying to do it. I don't know if it's necessarily like I've changed so much in like my approach and stuff. My approach is always like I'll be honest with you guys. Michael Jordan's the greatest player of all time, and I don't think it's particularly close. Kobe Bryant's my favorite player of all time. I think LeBron James is a very, very great player, but I think the media kisses his ass all the time because he's the active player, and you need the active player to pin against the great player. If they're talking about Kobe and MJ, you're talking about two irrelevant players because neither of them are playing anymore. And I'm not the biggest LeBron fan. I'm not a LeBron fan, to be honest. I'm not. I'm a Lakers fan, so in some ways I'm kind of obligated to root for him. But no, I don't like flopping. I don't like, calling yourself the greatest player of all time and that sort of thing.
Weird.
But my my channel, I try to be as objective as possible, with just the basketball standpoint. So I'm like, all right, how good is LeBron as a player, even if I don't like a lot of his antics? You know what I'm saying? And so that's basically how I try to run my channel. But I got to a point where I was like, they're still not getting it. They're still not like I've made so many videos playing defense. I'm gonna play offense and see what happens. And I did lose a decent amount of subscribers because not everybody has the attention span to make it to the end of the video and see what the ultimate point was. But it was cool to see a lot of them were receptive to it and going, okay, wow, it's not just their era that has all these weaknesses. It's like you could do the same thing with ours. And they will do the same thing 20, 30 years from now. Like, guys, be ready. They're going to do this to your era the same way you're doing it to ours. So
Are you young enough that you did you escape the spanking era? And
No.
no, you didn't.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
Did you have the common sense not to talk shit about past players when you hadn't watched them?
Yeah, no, I did. I remember the first time. I mean, it blew my mind. I was probably like 7 or 8 years old when my uncle told me that Wilt Chamberlain scored 100. And I called him a liar. I said, I don't believe it. Where's the proof? I was just like 100. Like, he scored more than Michael Jordan. That makes no sense. I didn't believe it. But no, I mean, at a certain point, yes, I definitely had, the wherewithal to not do that. But yes, I was spanked. I got the belt. I got the paddle. I remember when my mom upgraded to a thicker paddle, so we knew she wasn't screwing around. Like, she literally made it. She's so good she's so crafty. And so it's this big, thick paddle. It was intense. I will say that was effective up to a certain age. I still remember, I love my mother. I still remember when she like slapped me when I was like 19. And I just looked at her like, then 19? My opinion, Mom. You know what I'm saying? And so I think and she's apologized in the time since and all that. So I think there's a certain point where it's like, there's gray areas here. And like, we're not for abuse or anything, but yeah, no, spankings can be good. I know what was most effective for me was hit them where it hurts. And so not physically, but when my parents grounded me from video games, you could tell I like video games and stuff. She grounded me from video games for like a month one time. I remember that better than any spanking ever. It was just like, no, you're not going to have what you love for a month and you're going to remember this. And you know what? I did. I remember that. And so, but that's just another form of discipline. Children need to be disciplined, and you have a lot of children right now, a lot of fatherless children, a lot of children that, are coddled, is like what you're talking about. So for sure.
And it doesn't end well. And Johnny, I don't know how much time you have. I want to let Sports and Fitness respond because he was chomping at the bit even before I let you in. I had Phenomenal Fitness on a couple of weeks ago, and I found out later that like I cut into his nap time because he's a new father. So I feel bad. So you tell me, how long can you stay here?
I could probably do, like, I would say another 20 minutes or so, 20 to 30 minutes.
All right, Robin, what do you have to say to Johnny while he's here?
No, I really wanted to respond, to what you were talking about before.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the story of the NBA, you're talking about the standard. See, this is what we're alluding to, man, when we talk about the standard. When you say, oh, I didn't have to go back and look at this player, I didn't go back and look at this player.
Yep.
I couldn't go back and look at this player. When you were saying that, AOH, when you're saying that we didn't do these things or we couldn't do these things, we didn't have to do those things. And why do we not have to go back and look at Will Chamberlain or have to go back and see Bill Russell in video or Bob Pettit or George Michael or Bob Cousy or Oscar Robertson? We didn't have to watch any of them. I didn't never watch none of them dudes growing up. I didn't see no video of those guys. There was no internet. There was no TVs like that in my house. We had one TV, man. All right? There was no internet. There was no cell phones. There was no, basketball reference. There was none of this stuff. But the reason why we didn't have to do these things is because of the story. It was the way the standard was upheld. So when I listen to Hugh B. Brown, when I listen to Marv Albert, when I listen to Bob Costas, when I listen to all these other guys, Mike Fratello, whoever was on the microphone speaking when I was watching the games, they upheld the standard. They were the ones telling me how great Will Chamberlain was.
Yes.
They weren't like, yeah, well, Will Chamberlain was okay, but he couldn't shoot free throws that good. It was really, that was his weakness, and there wasn't really that many tall guys in the league. No, what they were saying was, man, Will Chamberlain was a legendary athletic freak. This guy could do things on the court. They had to change the rules of the game, blah, 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 blah. When they talked about Bill Russell, they didn't say, Bill Russell played against white guys, or it was really only 8 teams back in those days, so the championships were not really that much important. No, they were saying what? Bill Russell's the greatest winner in the history of the NBA. That's what they said about those guys. So as a kid growing up, I realized, damn, these dudes are nice. I didn't have to go back and watch and find out. The problem today is that when you watch TV and you listen to people on the radio, what they're telling you about the guys today is that they're far superior to the guys that came before them, because the guys that came before them were not any good. Not because these guys are that great. They're making it seem as if those guys weren't that good. So when you hear these guys on their podcast and you hear some of these other people talking, they'll tell you what? Oh, look at Bob Cousy, man. He's playing against taxi cab drivers and plumbers. I never heard that growing up. No one ever called the guys Michael Jordan was playing with, the guys that I was watching, plumbers and taxi cab drivers. I never heard that. Bob Cousy actually had to come out. The man was, what is he, damn near 100 years old. This man literally had to come out and speak up because these guys were trashing his era. And he's like, wait, hold the hell on here.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. The standard is not being upheld. If people want to compare LeBron James to Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or Tim Duncan, whoever you want to compare him to, the problem has been you're not upholding the standard. So what do? They lower the standard. They now say that Michael Jordan's era was trash. The 6-0 record don't mean they don't even recognize 2 3-peats. We've glossed over Michael Jordan's 2 3-peats. Who's doing these things? No one's doing these things. They glossed over 10 scoring titles. Oh, it's not. He just took a lot of shots now. This is what the standard's been lowered to. That's the problem. We talk about the story of the NBA. When I was growing up watching the NBA, when you were watching a game and they put up a stat on the TV, what did you always see? You would see an asterisk with Will Chamberlain's name. And they would always say after the merger, what they were doing there was giving the respect to Will Chamberlain. They're letting you know, this guy is so great, we have to exclude him from the record book here. They're giving the respect and the standard. They're not doing that now.
I think there's 2 reasons that happened. And you can go AOH if you want to, but I just want to chime in on that point. I think there's 2 major reasons that happened. First major reason that happened, these freaking debate shows. The debate shows with Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, these shows are huge, and they kept making more undisputed, first things first. And the frustrating thing is, I knew someone who worked behind the scenes in those shows, and they said that literally the way they do it is they'd go on Twitter, and they'd just look to see that what are like the top 10 talking points that day, and they would decide then that they would talk about those top 10 points, and they would pick which guy's going to be the, who's going to be the Jordan guy, who's going to be the LeBron guy, who's going to be the, for this, who's going to be for that, because conflict is king. They need conflict for their content. And so I think that created a lot of disingenuous basketball discourse, because I think you guys have probably seen the video on YouTube. It's like one of the funniest videos out there, where Skip Bayless is debating himself about Aaron Rodgers, because he has made so many points for Aaron Rodgers and against Aaron Rodgers that you can literally piece it together, where he's debating himself. There's no consistencies. There's no core beliefs to what he's talking about. And so I think that's one of them. The other one that's more specifically just about basketball is about LeBron and his fans. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. We've been hearing that over and over and over again. And it got to a point where he couldn't eclipse him in championships. He couldn't eclipse him in MVPs. So we had to find another way to elevate LeBron over Jordan. So that's where the narratives come in to being like, well, who had more help? Who played in the better era? Who played in, all. And so they have to find different narratives to raise him up, and I think that's just what happened. And the fact that LeBron led that charge by saying, I was the greatest player of all time because of this one championship I won against the Warriors, he kind of led that charge a little bit.
What, Robin?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, Johnny, don't you think it would be a lot greater or better for these shows or for everyone overall, the podcasters out here right now, these ex-NBA players, the current NBA players, if what we're talking about is you have everyone argue and debate off the merits. I've done several debates, man, on YouTube. I've only been on YouTube a couple of years, man, and I've done several debates, man. And once again, I've never had to tear down a player to make the argument for the player that I was debating against when I debated against a Magic Johnson, for example. So for me, it would be greater if we're debating the greatness and not lowering the standard. So yes, you're right. And once again, we talk about the word integrity. When these shows, if that's how they run their shows, that goes to the integrity of the game. Because once again, you're not educating the people. If the people, in fact, think that everyone in the 90s was not good, or they think that Scottie Pippen was greater than he really was, then you're not educating the actual fans of the NBA. So we're taking away from the game. And I think that's where the disconnect comes here. You know what I'm saying? With the people, some of these fans, because they're fans of the player. They're not really concerned about the overall impact of the game you're talking about. Because it's not just Michael Jordan. Oh, we're going to tear down Michael. You're doing nothing to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is still selling more money and selling more merchandise and is more famous and more popular than any current NBA player could possibly dream to be. Michael Jordan's going to be all right. The fact it remains, it's bad for the game overall.
100%.
Johnny, you mentioned that they would come up with the conflict-based talk show, like a Jerry Springer for sports, which is bad enough. But now I feel like they're afraid to even do conflict. Now they're just kind of like bouncing off of each other with compliments for LeBron. And it's very rare that you hear anybody even stand up and say, well, wait a minute, that's not true. So in as bad as your example was, I feel like somehow we even got worse.
Well, I will say this. I haven't been watching those debate shows closely for the last 4 years. They burnt me out. They burnt me out. So if that has been changing, Johnny, I haven't even seen it get worse in that way because I disengaged for that reason.
Yes, I agree with you, but you don't even have to watch the debate shows anymore. You watch the halftime commentary, which is a panel of the same fucking idiots. And I hope fake Richard Jefferson calls in Steam Engine, because I had to listen to Richard Jefferson last night just backpedal all over the goddamn place trying to explain the absurd calls that were made to favor LeBron James.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally said, okay, well, that's clearly a travel, and this is going to be a successful challenge. Should never have to challenge something that blatant in the first place. And then they found a way to not even overturn it. And Richard Jefferson was left saying, oh, yeah, so you can't move parallel when you're playing defense.
Sure.
Jesus Christ, this is where we are now.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some secret clutch sports agents out there for sure. But Richard Jefferson has a championship because of LeBron James. I mean, they were,
No, Richard Jefferson played big in that finals, man. He was good in that finals.
But I'm saying, he's his guy. Guys stick up for their guys.
He said, but I remember watching that finals. Richard Jefferson started for
You're
Kevin
right.
Love
Richard Jefferson would have won a championship without LeBron. I'm just saying he's his guy.
What I'm saying is that he earned that ring, though. He played his role, son.
Sure.
Richard Jefferson played his role.
Sure.
Just change your wording, Johnny.
He's a goof, though, man. That dude's a goof.
That's what triggers him more than anything else. He's like, I don't like the way you said that. But
Richard Jefferson was part. Richard Jefferson was
the
part
frustrating
of that.
thing. No, you're right. Go ahead.
Richard Jefferson was part of an absurd super team that helped LeBron James get a title. Don't say that LeBron brought Richard Jefferson one.
He was
And
pretty great in 2016 finals.
I got
but-
pretty angry seeing Richard Jefferson dunking like a monster. I was like, God damn.
Yo, the
This big-
Cavs bench outplayed the Golden State Warriors bench handily in that finals, man.
Yeah.
Those guys like Iman Shumpert, Richard Jefferson, man. The other guys, even Tristan Thompson, man, he was a monster in that finals, man. It was a good finals, you know what I'm saying? But I said by the Cavaliers,
For
man.
sure. Andrew Bogut missing, game 7.
And like I said, I remember
was
Richard
huge.
Jefferson starting in game 3 when
Game
Kevin
6,
Love
man.
was out with the concussion. And
Yeah.
Richard Jefferson was huge, man, in that game.
Yeah, for sure. But, I just think that's what it. I'll say this. It is really. It used to frustrate me when people would say, "Oh, you're just a clutch sports agent. You're just a Michael Jordan simp. You're just whatever." They'd go on, and I've been accused of literally everything, and it's hilarious. I've done videos where I put up compilations of all the different things I am, but the LeBron clutch sports one doesn't even bother me anymore because I don't blame anyone for thinking it, because there are so many out there. LeBron's a billionaire, and he has proved over and over again he really cares about the narrative. Like, he really, really cares about the narrative. And when Tom Habastrow came up with that article trying to debunk Michael Jordan's 1988 Defensive Player of the Year, I didn't immediately think, oh, he's paid off by LeBron's camp. I didn't automatically assume that until the very next day. He came out with an article saying that Bronny James was underrated. I'm just like, all right, I see where your allegiances lie.
Wow.
It's not surprising that you came out with this. I'm telling you, look it up. Tom Habastrow, Bronny James underrated. You'll see it the very next day after that MJ article. And so that's just kind of the world we live in, man. People with money want to control the narrative, and that's how it goes.
Johnny, I want to read this super chat. I got to call out these super chatters, and then Uncut Hoops has a question for you. I'll put on the screen next.
Yeah.
Thank you for the $10 super chat. I'm so glad my mom spanked me because I didn't turn out to be a total asshole. These kids, parents nowadays will not properly discipline their kids, even when they act like brats. And, I was a teacher, much to people's shock. And let me tell you something, the classroom turned into a piece of trash because parents aren't disciplining at home.
100%.
Let me put Uncut Hoops up on the screen now.
Yeah, shout out to Uncut Hoops.
This is to you, Johnny. As a Lakers fan, does Johnny notice whenever AD drops 40 and it's AD and LeBron, not just AD?
100%. And the funny thing is, the person who should be, and I mentioned this in my first, I'm doing weekly recaps on Saturdays and Sundays now. But I mentioned this, that the person who should be getting the most frustrated about this is Anthony Davis. I just don't get, maybe he's just afraid to, rattle LeBron's cage a little bit, but like, that guy so often doesn't get the respect he deserves because LeBron has to be the guy. LeBron has to be the leader. To be fair, LeBron is playing well right now. 4 straight triple doubles, 4 straight victories. We'll take them. They've been against bad teams, but I'll take them. But yeah, no, it's awful because AD in reality right now, if they finish with a top 5 seed in the Western Conference, AD should be in the MVP conversation right now, not LeBron. But that's not the way they're talking about it.
Comment on what I said earlier. You may not have been listening, and I've got footage. Everybody hang in there. I'm going to play some clips like we did last week. LeBron's triple-double was shit! It was fucking shit!
I'm going to need you to elaborate.
Fucking shit! Listen, take LeBron James out of the game and they still win. That tells you that the triple-double meant fuck all. Take him out of the game and they still win. That triple-double didn't mean anything about winning the game. I have a clip of his rebounds at the end of the game. They were basically passes to LeBron James. 2 air balls in a row that landed in LeBron James's hands, sitting alone. Alone. Neither team near him under the hoop. And, here comes an air ball into my lap. Two crucial turnovers in the fourth quarter. 2 points from LeBron James in the fourth quarter. And I have to hear about LeBron's triple-double. Get out of here. Fuck him. Give him a quadruple double every game, and it's all bullshit. All right.
I will say, did you see the parlay one where he was pointing to a fan in the crowd? LeBron got like, was it the rebound or a point? LeBron basically blatantly padded stats to get one of these triple doubles. It was like garbage time. Game was over. LeBron got that last stat, and he was laughing and he was pointing to somebody in the crowd, and he talked about it post game. And he said that he was helping a fan get their parlay, so he won his bet. and everybody on X and everything, all of LeBron were just like, "Oh my God, what a hero! Like, that's so awesome. He's for the people." And I'm like, dude, just like fooled you all into like approving his stat padding. Like, what is happening right now? And so I did see that one, and I thought that was rather hilarious. I was like, that was some 3D chess by LeBron, and usually he'd be getting hate for it, but he tricked everyone.
Well, I turned it off around halftime, and then I turned the TV back on when the Warriors were supposed to be playing, and it was the post game, and they were that freaking ESPN panel was sucking LeBron's Johnson talking about his triple double, and I had to turn the TV off again. I was like, God damn, can I turn the TV on when I want to watch the Warriors and not hear a lie about LeBron's triple double?
Yeah. And I want to piggyback off of what Sports and Fitness said, because it's so true. Like, the problem with that is when LeBron is the talk of everything, when he gets credit for everything, I think it really just does devalue basketball history. It really just does devalue the big picture of basketball, because now you're not appreciating all the different guys who have major roles in this. You know, you're not, it's like, I'm a nerd, so I'm going to make a nerd analogy, but it's like Star Wars. The original Star Wars movies were great because you had all these different characters with all these important roles. You had your Luke and your Han and your Leia. Then they came out with this new one where this character named Rey is the brains, the bronze, the smarts. She's the best at everything. And it made the movies shit. That's why the movies are garbage, because she was the LeBron James of Star Wars, where she just gets credit for everything. And,
yeah, she didn't have to go through a development phase either, like Luke did.
No.
She was just blew Luke out of the water from day one.
For sure. Yeah, no, she needed to teach him how to properly be a Jedi. Exactly. And so, yeah, that's the most frustrating part about it. But that's the thing. That's another reason I don't like to 100%. Like, LeBron obviously deserves some of the blame for that, but it's not all on him. The media is a big part of it, and the commissioner is a big part of it. Because, again, why are these guys flopping so much nowadays? Because they get away with it.
Yeah, where are the consequences?
You know, exactly. I remember in 2013 when he said that they were going to start cracking down on flopping. Well, how's that happen?
2013.
Yeah. Right when he came into office, into the commissioner's office, he said he was going to do it. Has that happened? No. Well, he's talking about how they're going to start playing defense. Last year, heading into the freaking All-Star game, they were talking about they are going to put an emphasis on defense. They're going to bring back competitive All-Star games. And what did we get? The highest scoring All-Star game in basketball history. Both teams combined for nearly 400 points. And so, again, you can go after, the foot soldiers, the floor, but sometimes you got to look at the manager. Sometimes you got to look at the CEO. And that's the thing, is like Adam Silver is failing the NBA right now. And so feel free to go after LeBron. Feel free to go after these floppers and all that, but don't let Adam Silver slide. And that's been my big thing. Absolutely
not. But the biggest question is, was Adam Silver's decision to buy into LeBron part of why he has allowed the NBA standards to diminish in order to accommodate LeBron's inability to continue to compete? And now he gets to take 7 steps and run over people and all this other bullshit. And we're talking about his triple doubles. Now, did LeBron cause it, or did Adam Silver cause it, or did they both cause it? And this is an ongoing topic. I don't know if we can explain it in one episode. Yeah, I'm listening.
No, so here's the thing here. When we talk about the commissioner, I actually told AOH that I wanted to bring him up today on this live stream as well. So right on, Johnny, for bringing up the commissioner. The thing with the commissioner is, and why I wanted to bring him up, when we talk about what you just mentioned, the players of the flopping and the load managing, these are standards that should be held by the players. the commissioner shouldn't have to hold these guys' hands, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? These are supposed to be professionals. Let's understand this. They're getting paid a lot of money, these guys, today. They're getting a lot of money. So once again, it should really be up to the players in those areas. The commissioner's job, like you said, should be to uphold the integrity of the game by also worrying about how the NBA is marketed. That's what he should be worried about. The NBA is not being marketed great because you're tearing down the pass, man. So once again, that's what Adam Silver should really be focused on. Why are you guys tearing down Michael Jordan? He should be questioning these fools on ESPN. He should be, yo, who the hell are you guys to be tearing down these past players? You don't have to say that Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. Who gives a damn, really? Who gives a damn? But when we're talking about the integrity of the game, Adam Silver should be concerned with these kinds of things, man. He should be concerned with marketing these players. When we talk about David Stern, the genius of David Stern was what? Marketing Michael Jordan. And why did he focus on marketing Michael Jordan? Because he understood that this man was something different, and he was going to take the league. Everyone was going to be with him when they went global. He didn't just take himself global. Michael Jordan took the league with him. That's what David Stern understood. And they marketed all those great players of the 90s. When I say it, I'm setting the record straight. What I'm telling you guys out there is the guys that I grew up watching were great players. They had skill. They had fundamentals. These guys gave effort. What I'm telling you, they were professionals. So what I'm telling you right now is they upheld the standard. So Adam Silver, David Stern, these guys, that's what you should be doing. But marketing these guys off their games, off their personalities, not off of, hey, these guys are more skilled because those guys were terrible. That's not how you market the game. You kidding me right now? And these guys flopping the load managing guidelines that they have instituted in the league is a step in the right direction. But Adam Silver shouldn't have to be doing this. These fools should know better, man. You're supposed to love the game.
Well,
as the game.
As an adult, you still have a decision, no matter how shitty your parent is. In this case, we're talking about Adam Silver as the shitty parent. You still have a decision to behave the way that you believe is the right way to behave.
Although I agree, if you see a misbehaving child in the grocery store who's like knocking stuff off the racks and all that sort of thing, do you look at that child and say, as a parent, do you look at that child and say, that's a bad child? Like, screw that child. No, you look at the parent. You want to look at them enabling. So I don't disagree, but I just think there's more layers to it. I agree. They're grown men. I get that. But the leadership is failing too. That's all.
Absolutely.
But you're saying that a 40-year-old needs to be spanked.
What I'm saying is there's a
leader in the
NBA who's not leading, and that's why the product is suffering. That's my ultimate point. You have a guy who's in charge, who's not acting like he's in charge. He's letting everybody else run things. So his position is weak. I think you want to start changing things, get him out first. You need a real commissioner in the league.
I don't believe that Adam Silver's a basketball guy.
He got an extension, so we can forget about that story.
How could you care? How could you be a basketball guy or love the game and you're going to sit by and stand by and allow these people to do this and say and talk about the league that way? That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand when people, they try to attack me in the comment section. Oh, you're not a basketball fan. You're tearing down LeBron. I've never lied about LeBron just on my channel. I've told the fact I'm holding the standard. I'm a fan of basketball. It's not just about Michael Jordan for me, man. I've done videos and talked about players on my channel that people don't even know who the hell these guys are, man. It's about the game. I'm holding the standard here, man. These people act as if I'm tearing the game down. No, I'm telling you guys out there, they're tearing the game down. What they're telling you is not the facts, man. Those guys were good players. They played the game a certain way because that was the way the game was. That was the standard back then. When you guys make fun of these guys and you clown white people and know all of a sudden now basketball players are decided off of their skin color. When the hell did that become a thing? This is insane to me.
Yeah, did you hear Kenny Smith actually brought up just a hilarious like one player for one player analogy? Is he just asked a question. He said, who was more athletically gifted, Larry Nance Jr. or Larry Nance Sr.? It's like,
exactly.
It was Senior. You know, that dude was skywalking. That dude had the epitome of flair. He would be considered he was like Dr. J type flair with just out the Dr. J greatness. You know, he was incredible. And so that's just one of many examples where it's like, it's not like these guys are all the athletic freaks and everybody of the past. The funniest one that I brought up in my video was, you guys remember, Michael Jordan doesn't have a left hand. It was stupid. It was debunked. Right. Like, just spend like a couple minutes on YouTube. You can find out real quickly that that's BS.
Right.
They were making this criticism of MJ, while at the time, the highest paid player at the time, the highest paid player in NBA history was an active Jaylen Brown, who in fact has no left hand.
Yeah.
You can see him doing layup drills, no joke, layup drills where he misses 5 or 6 straight layups with his left hand. And that guy's the reigning finals MVP right now.
I didn't want to steal your entire video, but I did watch that, and it was a good point. But it goes back to my original point when I started this video. Where are the consequences for people who don't bother to go back and find out for themselves if if Jordan had a left hand? Stop jumping on what you heard someone say and running with it. You have a responsibility as a person to make sure that what information you're continuing forward is valid. And where are the consequences for when you make an ass of yourself or tell a lie? There aren't any anymore. There was a time where if you gave the wrong answer, let's go back to the classroom since we're talking about getting spanked. I mean, I know my schools, I got spanked at home and I got spanked at school. I mean, it was terrifying, but it helped. But you also got humiliated in front of the classroom if you talked out your ass about something. Nowadays, I don't think that would be true. It's like, oh, I'm wrong and there are no consequences.
I take it
I'm
even
wrong
a step
and there are no
further.
consequences. Yeah,
I
go
take
ahead.
it even a step further and say that it's not just that there are no consequences, like negative consequences. A lot of times you're rewarded because in this social media age, sometimes even negative recognition is good recognition because you get a lot of dummies who add to your follower counts. You get a lot of dummies who are adding to your view counts, you know? And so the thing is, like, you know, talk about, I like YouTube's algorithm, and there's some things I like about X as a social media platform. One of the things I don't like about X/Twitter is that all that matters there isn't your like to dislike ratio. It isn't your average watch time. It's literally engagement. And so because it's engagement alone, somebody can come out and say, let me just say some stupid crap about Michael Jordan, you know, just outright, just blatantly lie. And of course, it's going to trigger us, you know, which means the comments go up, the engagement goes up. So I think that's a big part of it. It's just the social media era where now people are being rewarded for ignorance. People are being rewarded for saying stupid shit.
That's so
and I
true.
think that's a big problem.
I was gonna in the description I invited callers to be prepared to call in and give specific examples of people not facing consequences for their actions and in fact being rewarded. And Anthony Edwards comes to mind to me a lot because he said the dumb shit about not conditioning to be in the playoffs. Well, where's his pay cut? Where's his contract removal? He took 7 steps and changed his pivot foot 3 times in the Olympics. And instead of being penalized for it, was cheered and started parading about himself. Like, oh, look at my skills. I mean, it's exactly what you said. It's the exact opposite of a consequence. If people don't get called out, you see them turn into these monsters where somewhere in his mind right then and there, he actually changed from thinking I might have fucked up to, wow, I really do have some footwork.
Yeah.
You know? And then you continue forward. And then he continues to say stupid shit off the charts. I can't even keep up with his dumb quotes now. So he's gotten worse, you know, and he didn't face any consequences. So this is Anthony Edwards to me is a great example of if you don't face any consequences, you're not going to go down a very good road.
Yeah. Yeah. But adding on to that is like when you devalue, you know, greats from the past and you just consider them all just idiots or they were just good because of the era they played in and stuff, you're not going to seek their counsel. You're not going to, I mean, that's what made Kobe so special. Kobe wasn't the pure athlete that Michael Jordan was, but he was a student of the game, probably like no one else. I mean, he had the humility to say, I want to learn this from this guy. I want to learn this from this guy. The one that just drives me nuts is, and he's still young. I mean, he's in his 2nd season, but Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama goes out there and shoots like 8 3-pointers a game as a guy who's 7'4" or 7'5" tall. He should be shooting 60 to 63% from mid-range in the post, that sort of thing, just off of the fact that no one can defend his shot. Yeah, why is he not seeking out the counsel of a guy like Akeem Olajuwon, who could literally make him unstoppable in that range? Instead, he's like, I got to play like everybody else in this era. And I just got to shoot up a ton of threes. No, you don't. Like anyone can do that. Anyone can do that. Yeah. Does it help like space the floor and that sort of thing? Yes. But you're not taking advantage of your greatest gift. And that's a tragedy. And so I think that's another issue with it is when you keep on crapping of these guys of the past, you're not going to look to them and seek out their wisdom.
That's a great point.
I mean, you guys mentioned two players that shoot too many threes. Anthony Edwards shoots too many threes too. This guy's out there chucking up threes himself, man. You mentioned a couple of guys. You could think about John Morant. What's John Morant been up to, man? This guy's inconsistent as hell. As soon as these guys get the money, all of a sudden their attitude changes. Where's Ben Simmons at? Ben Simmons will come on the microphone and talk about, hey, man, when I'm healthy, I'm a really great people forget how great I am when I'm healthy. He had the nerve to say that before the season. Dude, you're out there averaging what? A 777 or something like that, man? I mean, let's be honest here. You're not, and once again, you talked about the consequences. What consequences Ben Simmons had? He literally sits out games because he doesn't really feel like playing basketball. He's not injured. He just, I just don't feel it, man. I don't want to do, my son, he's 7 years old, man. He watches SpongeBob a lot. There's an episode of SpongeBob where Plankton's trying to get the secret recipe from him. So he like brainwashed him and he tried to get him to be his friend. And he's like, yeah, I don't really feel like, doing it today. That's Ben Simmons. He doesn't really feel like playing. A lot of these guys, they don't maybe feel like playing, so they don't play. And that's the problem here, man. But you mentioned Victor Wembanyama. I mentioned in a video I did the other day. This dude, why are you shooting 12 threes? Why are you out there standing around? We're talking about these plays. Some of these guys are being lazy. You guys have literally, this is what the game has become. You mentioned the All-Star game earlier, Johnny, and the way the game was played. I watched every single minute of the All-Star game on purpose. I purposely put myself through that hell because I wanted to literally see if there was going to be any change in the game. And maybe, you know what? In the fourth quarter, these guys will turn it on. It'll get more competitive. No, it didn't happen. As a matter of fact, if you actually watch that game, what you notice is that in the second half, it got worse. They got even less competitive. I don't think anyone full sprinted in the second half. I'm talking about a full-out sprint in the second half. Karl Anthony Towns out there goofing around. They're missing slam dunks. They're out there. They took over 123s. I want to say combined, man. They shot some ridiculous amount of three-point shots in that game, like you mentioned before, man. It's ridiculous how many points they scored. And this is what we're talking about, the standard. What the hell?
Yeah, and you made a good point about Ben Simmons, and it's just such like a disconnect between them and like the real world, because it's like, and just how things work. Like, just imagine going into a job where you're expected to work 5 days a week, and your boss is telling you you're not showing up for work enough. You need to be here 5 days a week, but you're always calling in sick. You're never coming in. And you were like, yeah, but how good am I on Mondays and Wednesdays? Like those 2 days I'm in, I'm like employee of the month. That ain't gonna fly. You're still gonna lose your damn job. And so but that's what they're doing. That's literally what they're doing. It's being like, well, that time I'm out there, the best ability is availability. I might not have that, but when I'm out there, I'm a problem. Like,
I like that.
And on top of that, now they're not even really problems, and there's still no consequences. I went off in my members section rants. I'm not sure the whole world wants to hear me just jog and complain. So it's only in the members section. Congratulations to those guys who get to hear extra complaining. But, somebody defended Ben Simmons. It was like, oh yeah, the people did forget how good he was. I'm like, how are we supposed to remember? When's the last time you fucking played? How good do you think our memories are? And now you're back and you are reminding us that you suck. But you mentioned Anthony Edwards and his 3-pointers, Robin, and he justified that by saying, oh, I want to reduce the wear and tear and getting tired driving. I'm like, the only wear and tear this guy faces when he's driving is the wear and tear on his vocal cords as he screams, hey, ref, nobody's challenging you.
I saw that video you did.
Bitch. Oh, you saw
and
that?
And again, how much physical abuse did Hakeem take? Was Hakeem this big, strong, like bruise? No, he was a finesse player. He's a oh, gotcha. Like that was Hakeem. Like that's what you need. Just a little bit of that, or maybe just maybe, not even a Kareem skyhook because that crap's hard to learn, but just a baby hook. A guy's got, what is his wingspan? Like 8 freaking feet? I don't know, but it's crazy. And just a little baby hook shot as a 7'4" player, you would, if you could get that regularly, you'd be automatic. No one can defend that. I just don't get it. It's like everything's just streamlined. It's like everything's just on a conveyor belt, and every player's just same player. 7'5" 3-point shooter, 6'3" 3-point shooter, 6'7" 3-point shooter. And it's just, and that right there is also just kind of killed the enjoyment of the game, because it's like the same jump shooting crap on repeat. So
I want to talk about consequences, and I want to talk about Joel Embiid. If you have time, stick with this. This was definitely only in my members section, and when that reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer was hands laid on by Embiid and whatever went down, prior to that, he had mentioned Embiid's brother and son. And my thing was, well, he kind of had a point, because Embiid first mentioned his brother and son. Embiid is the one who came out and said, because of my brother and son, I want to be impressive and I want to leave a lasting legacy. Now, here you have a Philadelphia local who has watched Joel Embiid make $500 million while playing 50% of his career. I'd be freaking frustrated too. So don't give us these emotional speeches about your dead brother and your child when you're not going to honor their legacies yourself. And maybe you guys tell me if you think that I'm harsh, but don't open your mouth if you're not going to make good on it. So the reporter mentioned that. He said, look, if Embiid wants to talk about this all the time, then make good on what you said about your brother and son. And I saw some people came out and said, oh, that disrespectful reporter, and how dare Embiid be suspended. Well, how much of a punishment is a suspension for a guy who was voluntarily not playing in the first place? And secondly, does anything the reporter said justify a giant of a man getting fed up and attacking him? And are there no consequences for Embiid not coming through on his own self-declared desire to be great? I still don't understand what happened between the Olympics and the beginning of the season. Go ahead. You guys have any feelings on that?
Go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead, man.
I'm actually, I need to bounce soon, but no, I mean, you're speaking facts, but yeah, I'm already way above what I told my wife I would. Okay. But no, but I'm just going to say, dude, you're speaking facts. AOH, you're right. And I don't know. I've seen situations like that where guys have excuses to just lash out and that sort of thing, where it's like, you know, I don't think that people misbehaving is an excuse for you to just throw out all your morals and just, that's my opinion. I will say, somebody in the chat did say, when's that LeBron assist video coming? It's still coming. It's just not coming at a time where I have a newborn baby and life hasn't settled down, because I don't have time to make that video be a quality video.
That's a big deal.
So right now I'm trying to focus on easier content to produce to support my family. But I'm thinking like January, I'm going to really start tackling that one, because that involves, I did get the games, and I have found out some interesting things about LeBron's assists already. So I'm very excited to share that. And so, yeah, that'll be fun. So, but expect that sometime after January. So
thank you for giving us some of your time, Johnny.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on, guys. You guys are awesome. And we will talk soon when baby grows up and isn't so demanding.
Yo, man, congratulations again, man. Take it easy, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. How do I? Oh, there it is.
I see.
Go ahead.
There's a caller in the waiting room. You're premature. We got too much going on right now, so I don't want to be rude to you, but just call back in later. I don't even remember putting the call-in link up, so I don't know how you're accomplishing this, but but be patient. We'll get to it. I haven't even shown the footage. I uploaded footage from last night's game to make fun of. We haven't even gotten to that yet, but go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, just about, I had done a video and touched on the Joel Embiid situation with the reporter. And my whole thing, once again, it came back to the fact that Joel Embiid was not actually playing. He currently wasn't playing. So you had all this energy for the reporter, but you have no energy to be on the court, man. That's my biggest thing with a lot of these guys, man. They're tough guys. They want to go back at the fans. He wants to go at this reporter. He wants to stand up for his brother, his son, whatever the case may be. dude, that's fine. Get your butt on the court, man. Where's all that bravado? Where's all that flair and toughness on the basketball court, man? That was like Jimmy Butler last year, man, when he was talking trash about the Boston Celtics and that if he was playing, then the
Yeah.
Celtics wouldn't have made it to the championship if he was playing. Dude, you're not playing. So
Yeah.
shut the hell up. And that's what Pat Riley told him. You're not even playing. Why are you running your mouth? And Joel Embiid's out here running his mouth about this reporter. He attacks him in the hallway. He grabs him or whatever he does. You have all the energy to do those kinds of things. You're not worried about getting injured, but you ain't got no energy to go on the court. Security had to come and break it up, but you can't go on the basketball court, man. You got to be kidding me with these guys, man. Once again, we talk about the sensitivities of some of these guys. Listen, people are going to write things about you. They're going to say things about you. This is what we talk about. You know, when we talk about being a millionaire, being a professional athlete, signing a contract, right, and having a standard, and going out there and having an obligation, you know, you have to deal with some of these things, man. Fans say crazy things. It doesn't necessarily mean that people are right or that we're condoning what people say or do. But when you talk about people writing an article or someone saying something to you, once again, you're taking it to another level by putting your hands physically on somebody. And like you mentioned, AOH, this dude is 7'2", 300 pounds. Like, come on, man. This is tantamount to you bullying somebody who's smaller than you. What are you getting from this? It makes, and let's not fail to mention that this man was suspended on his day off. You got suspended when you never played a game. How do you get fired on your day off, man? You got to be kidding me, Joel Embiid. Insane.
Hey, what are we going to look at first? Are we going to look at LeBron's turnovers, his rebounds, or that absolutely absurd call? I didn't upload that sequence, which I think you watched. It's on my shorts, of where he didn't get back on D, and even though he was in the back court, he didn't stop the inbound that went right past him, and then he just stood there flat-footed, and the announcer even said, well, LeBron is watching this flat-footed. I don't know how he got away with. I don't know. Is that the worst? Is that the meanest criticism that happens now? But
Yeah.
I also want to talk about what athleticism really means. You know, Scap Attack keeps putting out these videos about Jokic and all of Jokic's triple doubles, and we talked about some guys from the past, and I can hear in my head LeBron fans saying, well, yeah, but LeBron is almost 40 and getting some triple doubles. Okay, so you have your excuse. Don't you also call Jokic an unathletic, tub? So there's Jokic's excuse. They both have things going against them, and yet they're both accomplishing these things. Jokic is doing it against good teams. LeBron's doing it against shit teams. And the footage does not show that LeBron's triple doubles are impressive, but it's an interesting thing. I understand that, like, athleticism is a guy that can jump from the free throw line and dunk and do 360s. But I also think athleticism is somebody who can't dunk and yet is still overcoming on the floor somehow against guys who can. I mean, that's got to require something. What do we call it? What do we call it if it's not athleticism?
You know, when you talk about Nikola Jokic and you talk about LeBron James and you make these comparisons, and listen, man, we have the show tomorrow. I hope Scap is there. I'm not doing any more Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. Me and Scap, we burying that hatchet. I'm done with this stuff, man. I have the energy for it, man, to do this, man. Because at the end of the day, I have respect for Nikola Jokic. So my position has never been about trying to tear down Nikola Jokic. But when you make these comparisons, the one thing that we must keep in mind, when people talk about Nikola Jokic, about the triple doubles for LeBron James, when we talk about the last, let's say, 5 seasons or so that he's been with Los Angeles Lakers, the one thing that we've been alluding to and we've been talking about is the impact. Like you said, the numbers are hollow because you're not having an impact. And where's the evidence of this? The Lakers have not finished out of the play-in since the bubble season. They've been a playing team every year. You can't say the same thing about the Denver Nuggets. They've been competitive every single season. They've been finishing, whether they're number 1, a top 3 seed, a top 5 seed. Nikola Jokic has his team competitive. They're not battling for a 9th seed every season. But on top of that, the Lakers have been finishing with a plus, 500 for the last 2 seasons. The Denver Nuggets are not having this kind of luxury. So when you talk about all of those things combined, and you talk about the numbers that LeBron James is quote-unquote putting up, It has no impact, and the evidence is there because they're fighting for a play in every season. They're literally, last year, they were essentially in the 9th seed all year long, since the in-season tournament celebration went down. They were all year long fighting for a play-in. That's not Nikola Jokic on his team. So the triple doubles, the stats he's putting up, even though I think that they're inflated in this era, we all know that, they still have more impact on the wins and losses for his team.
I want to look at some of the footage in a minute. I'm going to go use the restroom. You want to take on some people in the comments? Because I know that your eyes are always scanning the comments. And when we get back, we're going to look at some footage.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'll do my thing here, man. I just start ranting off and going off what we were talking about before.
All right. Have you seen any good ones? I'm having a hard time keeping up as they fly by.
No, the comments, like I said, these guys have been great in the comment section today, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. These guys, they know the deal, man. You know what I'm saying? The people are out, man. They know, man.
All right, guys, we're going to look at LeBron's turnovers, his ridiculous rebounds, and that travel that was called a foul for the defender staying out of LeBron's way. When I get back, I'm turning it over to Sports and Fitness Rants for a moment.
Yeah, you guys know the deal, man. So once again, man, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the standard, you guys. You guys understand the standard that we've been talking about that's going down right now. We must continue to uphold the standard of the NBA and how these guys are being judged and not living up to the standard, man. I see some of you guys in the chat. Yo, shout out to some of you guys out there, man. Shout out to Haven Phoenix. What's up, guys? Yeah, like I said, man, Jokic is having an impact, man. He's having an impact on the wins and losses. The numbers are not hollow, so to speak, for Nikola Jokic. Like I said, I've given Nikola Jokic some flack, you know what I'm saying, in comparison to the other all-time greats, because I don't believe that, this era is as stout, at that position overall historically. But what Nikola Jokic does for his team, when we talk about the stats, and then we talk about athleticism, when AOH mentions athleticism and how they try to say the guys today are bigger, stronger, faster, or that the guys in the past weren't great athletes, it's not always about the athleticism of a player that's going to help you dominate, so to speak, but it's about all the other things that you can do. So if you're smarter than somebody, then you can try to maybe get over on the athleticism aspect. If you're tougher than somebody, then maybe you can negate some of their athleticism, right? So these are the kinds of things that we're alluding to. And also, if you have the fundamentals, if you're fundamentally sound, then you can negate someone's athletic advantage over you. The things that I used to talk to you guys about when we talk about the 80s and the 90s, man. Yo, Savion Quotes, what up, man? Quotes, I'm sorry if I jacked your name up. But when we talk about some of these things, man, what we talk about is how the physical nature of the game allowed some of these guys who are maybe lesser athletes to compete on the NBA level. So when they make fun of some of these lesser guys, like a Dan Marley, for example, and they say, oh, this guy Dan Marley was guarding Michael Jordan, the physical nature or the physicality that Dan Marley was allowed to play with helped negate some of your athleticism. So yes, Michael Jordan may have been quicker than Dan Marley, faster than Dan Marley. He could jump higher than Dan Marley. We get all of that, right? It was the other things that Dan Marley was allowed to do. So maybe he could use his hand more, right? The strength of Dan Marley. He was a very stoutly built person. So these kinds of things allowed players to negate some of your athletic advantage, man. So that's why someone like Nikola Jokic can be effective at the level that he is, because of all the other things that he does at a high level, maybe not necessarily the jumping high or the quickest feet or things of that nature.
So that was one of the longest pisses of my life. Callers, we are going to bring you in. Let me, those of you who are joining, here are some of the topics I'd like to hear. What did you think about my take on the Embiid reporter thing? What do you think about these players getting worse because of the fact that they don't face consequences? What do you think about athleticism versus skill? I meant to ask Johnny. He said in his video something about like a Kyle Lowry can be a great blocker because of the incompetence of offensive players. To me, that meant that they don't really have a real bag. They just do the same thing. Mm-hmm. The Barkley shit talker, should that kid have been, beaten up right where he stood in order to stop things like that? Did your parents spank you? These are all things for callers to talk about when they call in. Right now, Robin, you choose. You want to look at those silly air ball rebounds, his turnovers, or that travel first?
Well, listen, I remember seeing last night one of the most egregious turnovers, and these are typical turnovers for LeBron James when he just rolled the ball in bounds like there was no cares in the world. There's not an NBA game going on. Let me just roll the ball in, and it gets stolen. This is what he does. You guys remember some years ago, he let the ball roll in front of his feet, and he got it stolen? He does these things routinely. So, yeah, roll the tape video. Roll the video footage, AOH.
I don't have that one, but it is in my
Oh,
shorts.
all right. Did you see that one, though?
Oh, it's in my shorts. I uploaded it last night when it happened.
Oh, all right.
Because that was just like the end of a sequence of him being terrible.
Exactly.
He stood there flat-footed while the other team got the rebound and then took the ball out of bounds and then rolled it to Austin Reeves and watched the defender. He just watched the defender come take it.
Just rolled it like no one's out there on the court.
He couldn't even open his mouth to say, "Oh, hey, here comes the steal." Okay, let's I'm gonna start with the air ball rebounds. And let me change this to where that's big. Okay. So I swear to God, this is two different plays. They look like the same play, but I swear that they are different. Oh no, these are the turnovers. Never mind. That's all right. There's a terrible turnover. There's the roll-in one that you love. I don't know what that was. That was insane. This is just.
Yeah, see, this is what we're talking about, man.
The one he fired above D'Lo's head.
You know, the body
That's
language
a lob.
of LeBron James sometimes.
That was a lob to nobody. And then look, I think this next one, LeBron's going to leave his feet. Of course, he doesn't make bad decisions, but is this it? Oh, yeah, he leaves his feet, and now it's Gabe Vincent's fault. 7 turnovers, man. And did you notice how many of these directly mean points for the other team? How many of his turnovers not only don't mean points for the Lakers, but do also mean points for the other team?
Yeah, and see, one of my biggest problems with LeBron James is how his body language always tries to act as if it's someone else's fault. He's always mad at someone else.
Let's get to those. Let's get to those ridiculous rebounds. That's what.
See, somebody said that LeBron James is having all these triple doubles and they're winning, but they failed to mention that Anthony Davis is like number 2 in the league in scoring right now, and like top 5 or top 10 in rebounds in the league, and is one of the best defenders in the league. So you act like LeBron James out there triple doubling it, and nothing else is going on. And let's not fail to mention, once again, Anthony Davis is doing most of his damage in the fourth quarter. The game the other night, he scored 11 of his 21 points in the fourth quarter. The Lakers were going to lose these games, even though LeBron James put these stats up. It was the other guys that came through at the end.
And again, these are against bad teams. LeBron's stat padding and making games closer than they should be against bad teams. These triple doubles are absolutely meaningless. If you want to get crazy about triple doubles, go and look at the difficult teams that the Nuggets were playing on a team that basically only has Nikola Jokic. But let's look at, speaking of the triple doubles, these two examples really personify how empty those stats are. Look at LeBron down in the lower right corner in his Velociraptor pose, resting, not guarding anyone. And AD is going to contest the shot, maybe even block the shot, which is going to cause it to land. Look at the paint. Did you see who else was in the paint with LeBron when he caught that air ball? Nobody except 2 other Lakers that had no interest in taking that rebound from him. All right, I included this in case of. Okay, here we go. There's a close up of Velociraptor. Velociraptor or wipe hands. And look at the difficulty of that. Holy shit. They threw the goddamn ball to him. Okay,
Yep.
this is the next play. I kid you not. It looks like the same thing. 2 air balls thrown straight into LeBron's freaking hands. That's what we're talking about, people. This is what
But
you're.
see,
These
they're
are
more skilled today.
these are the triple doubles that you're excited about. Look at that. Look at that. That shouldn't exist. I don't care if we're talking about LeBron. We can talk about anybody. That shit shouldn't exist.
This is what I'm saying, man. When you look at the rebounding, see, the thing is, when people talk about the numbers, when you talk about the overall game, you see some of these people like, oh, when LeBron James does this, they win. The Lakers don't win consistently, though. That's the problem with them. They don't win on the road. The 2 road wins that they have this season one came last night against the Spurs, right? And the one before that came against the Toronto Raptors when they had a plus 20 at the free throw line. When you're talking about LeBron James and the stats he's putting up, and they talk about, oh, the Lakers are winning this, they're not winning. That's the whole point here. That's why they're in the play-in every year. They ain't like the Lakers are a top 3 seed or a top 5 seed. They've never finished above the 7th seed other than the bubble season. Not 1 year. So when are they winning games? They're not winning. The LeBron James teams, the name of the game is inconsistency. That's the name of the game. This is why there's always trade rumors every season. This is why he needs help every season. The Lakers are not winning, you goofs. So what the hell are you guys talking about? His stats don't mean anything. Anthony Davis has literally been the best player on that team since he's got there. They can talk about Anthony Davis' health all they want to. His scoring, his numbers are actually impacting the game. Why? Because Anthony Davis is one of the best two-way players in the league, if not the best two-way player in the league currently. This is why it impacts the game. Look at the weaknesses of the Lakers. They're a weak rebounding team, and they're weak on defense. The 2 glaring weak spots of LeBron James' game. You just pointed it out. You're not hustling for any offensive rebounds. None. You had, what, he had 14 rebounds last night? He had 1 offensive, and you got that offensive rebound in the last couple minutes of the game. So what are we doing here?
All right, here comes the egregious turnover that should have been called a foul travel on LeBron. And I broke this up into 3 clips to try and avoid a copyright. So I'll be interested to hear anybody call in and try and justify this. It's a little bit mind blowing. All right, I'm hitting play. I recorded it vertically, so we're looking at it vertically. I mean, I really felt like that defender was doing a great job staying away from LeBron, like doing everything he could not to get called, and he still got called.
Yeah, and this is why we have a problem with a lot of this stuff.
Just falling down. It's like LeBron's body just shuts down every now and then randomly.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why we say, like, how is LeBron James allowed to use physicality in an era where no one's allowed to use physicality? It doesn't make any sense. He's the only one allowed to throw everybody all over the basketball court. Like you said, he'll throw elbows out there, no calls made. He can yell and curse at the referees, no technical fouls. He can do all these things. He can do that.
So I got more angles of this. I mean, that one's absurd enough, but we'll do another one. Help the old man up. Okay, here it comes. Let's go. Let's go replay. All right, I did a bad job editing this. Come on. Come on, AOH. Get your shit together. Oh, it's in like 25%. Okay, here we go. Look at LeBron staring at the ball. Look at this unskilled idiot. And then look at the rap. You see that? That's called rapping. That's actually illegal. That is in the rule book as illegal. And then, boo, 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 I fell down. Call a foul. I can't believe the brains of LeBron fans saying, oh, yeah, that's definitely a foul. Where the fuck are you at in the universe?
And that's the standard.
I got a third angle on this, and this is when the poor Spurs had to waste a challenge on this, and then the challenge wasn't even successful. Oh man,
Oh, goodness.
here it comes. Let's do it one more time. How's this look, by the way? Can you see it clearly? I've never
I can
tried this
see it
before.
clearly, but on my end, it comes in a little choppy.
Look at LeBron literally just fell over himself. They actually said that it was on the defender for the knee contact. I'm like, the guy is trying to stay out of LeBron's way. I mean, can we just like empty the gymnasium for LeBron James, like in 2020, the way that he enjoys the pressure to be? Just don't be anywhere near where LeBron wants to shoot at this point. I'm putting the call link up. Thank you guys for your patience. We had a lot to get off of our own chests and a lot of footage to go over, and special guest Jonny Arnett today. Thank you, Jonny, for joining. And I have now put the call-in link up. Maybe I should have done it a few minutes ago, but what are we talking about? We're talking about any examples that you have in life proving, or from watching the NBA, that proves that not facing consequences means let's keep behaving poorly. Let me tell you something. And people like to blame LeBron not having a dad, which is probably partially true, because I could have gotten away with manipulating my mom more if my dad hadn't been there to say, no, this is bullshit. You know, some people can probably relate to that. I mean, there's people on here who were hit with branches. I was spanked with a belt and a wooden spoon. I was not spanked with a branch. Although I'm not sure. That doesn't necessarily mean it was less painful than a belt. God damn, a doubled over belt. Savion.
Hello,
Hello.
bruh.
Yo, what's
I had
up?
my emotions through last night, and I'm a Spurs fan. it's it sucked seeing LeBron James go through all this stuff.
Are you a
Yo.
believer? Are you a believer in the current Spurs? Do you think that they just need a little bit more time, or do you think that it's not going to pan out?
I think they need a little more time, but I get what y'all saying about Wembanyama, and I'm a Wembanyama fan myself. I'm just taking it as it is.
I don't know what to think. I mean, I see some of his highlights and I'm like, good God, that's unbelievable.
He
But
has potential, but he gotta just stick with it and just get better at his game.
I turned it off at halftime. This in-season tournament definitely has me on high alert for suspicious activity.
Me
And
too.
did the competitiveness of the Spurs seem reduced in any way?
I don't know, but it's kind of hard to be competitive when you got a flopper going down the lane at 100 miles an hour with the call.
I mean, defender moving out of the freaking way and still getting called for a foul. It kind of hurts your competitive spirit, doesn't it?
Yep, it does.
Yeah, I mentioned
But
earlier
AD
how
doesn't get no credit though. AD doesn't get no credit. He had 40 points.
Yup.
He was balling. He ain't gonna get no credit. It's all gonna go to LeBron James for that stat pattern triple double.
Well, I don't want to hear those ESPN panelists, but I accidentally turned it on, and sure enough, they mentioned AD briefly. But you know what they did? They
But
complimented JJ Redick for, handing the keys over to AD. People, do you think that Darvin Ham is brain dead?
no,
Like, you
not at
can
all.
say that Darvin Ham may not have been the greatest coach ever. Do you honestly think that Darvin Ham didn't want to take the ball out of LeBron's hands
Yup.
and
I
couldn't
think
do
he
it?
does, but LeBron is just in control of everything. It's just so dumb.
Right. And he had to come to an agreement with JJ for whatever we're going to call this, but LeBron is still getting the minutes that he wants. And then I had to hear these panelists say that, and look at look at how LeBron is controlling this offense. I'm like, wait a minute, you just said that giving the ball up to someone else was the key, and now you're crediting LeBron James as being this point guard god. But when D'Lo came into the game, D'Lo was accomplishing the same shit, and D'Lo was getting thrown under the bus. I saw D'Lo come into the game making some fantastic plays, and I get heat for defending D'Lo. You guys are bus riding the D'Lo hate.
D'Lo's the kind of player that he'd be better off without LeBron, because teammates
Most players
elevate
are.
better than, yeah, everybody is. Teammates elevate better than without LeBron. Even if you just have AD, even if you just had AD on the court, it'll elevate them.
Savion, thank you for calling in, and the call link is up for those that want to call in. Sports and Fitness, what did you think about what the caller had to say?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's right on the money. When we talk about Victor Wembanyama, he says he's a fan of Victor Wembanyama. I think a lot of people have a lot of hope for Victor Wembanyama and what he could become in the NBA, and that's why what we were talking about earlier, is valid. We talk about the 3-point shooting, and we talk about maybe shooting too much or too many threes. These are the kinds of things that we're talking about, man. When you're out there taking 12 3-pointers, I don't know how many he's taking a game. Maybe I think Johnny said he's taking like 8 or 9 a game. I said earlier in my video that he should be around maybe 4 or 5 3-point attempts a game. That's where he should be. That doesn't mean he has to be banging down low or trying to do anything physically, but stepping in the mid-range and trying to operate a little bit closer to the paint, so to speak, I think would benefit him a lot more and just benefit the overall league. Because, like I said, like you said earlier, who wants to keep watching the same play over and over again? So much respect to what he was saying.
Michael Silberg, you not calling in today? And apologies to the callers that were waiting earlier. We had a full plate. And Robin, you're a father also, maybe not a new father, but I know you need to get going soon. So we'll entertain a few more callers. And the SMT Sneed Mobile, that's too long to finish reading. You're on.
Hey guys, thanks for letting me on. How are we doing today?
Hey, welcome.
Yo, what's up, man?
Hey, so something I noticed, gentlemen, is like when you look at the dynamics of the players that play alongside LeBron. I look at D'Lo, for example. LeBron's basically played every game. I don't think he's missed any, but I noticed that like D'Lo plays a lot better when LeBron is completely out of the game. So like he misses a game, for example, his role obviously becomes expanded. More is asked of him, and he's actually better when he's asked to do more. He'll drop 25, 30 points. He'll distribute the rock. When these guys who are capable of doing more are stuck in certain spots on the floor because LeBron needs to orchestrate and engage the offense, they become marginalized, right? With the exception of, I think, of AD, because it's so undeniable. The guy should be the centerpiece and focal point of the offense. But a guy like D'Lo, who's actually a pretty good player, unfortunately gets relegated to these bit roles where it's like, we'll dish it off to D'Lo when there's 3 seconds on the shot clock and there's nothing left, right? Or he'll try to slash and find somebody, secondarily when LeBron can't get by the initial teeth of the defense. So I don't like the way that D'Lo is evaluated unless it's games where LeBron doesn't play. Then we can actually evaluate D'Lo as a player.
And
unfortunately, that's go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we've had a few of those opportunities, and people just choose to ignore them. I mean, I put out a video last year showing like the Lakers smiling and hugging each other and having a great time on the court with chemistry. Guess who wasn't playing?
Yeah.
Guess who was wearing Knicks jerseys, Knicks paraphernalia, while his team's doing well without him?
But you know what? I'm not sure if JJ Redick could coach a team without a LeBron. That's a fallback, right? I can just tell LeBron, hey, create a little bit, find guys open, go ahead and knock somebody down and make a layup and then flex on him. Like he'll say things like that probably, and because it's easy. I could just have LeBron get to a certain spot, throw a shoulder into somebody, and either get a layup or dish or whatever else. It's kind of unfortunate to see guys like Rui, to see guys like D'Lo, even a guy like Austin Reeves occasionally has a blow-up game, but imagine how many he would have if he became like a legitimate 1B to Anthony Davis's 1A, right?
Yeah.
I think these guys actually could show us more. I remember those games last year AOH when you were doing some of the coverage and videos on it, and I thought to myself, man, there's actually talent here. Why are we acting like this team can't win games without Braun? They basically would have the same record, actually, in my opinion. They would
How
just be
about
playing a
two-
different brand of hoops. You know what I mean?
How about, geez, is it already 3 seasons ago where both AD and LeBron chose to sit out the end of the season and the Lakers went on a run, including Austin Reeves? Like, was Austin Reeves a rookie at that point? And we're like, God damn, look at this guy. So we've had the opportunities to see it, and everybody just forgets when it's convenient to forget. Thank you for calling in. And we have Michael. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thank you. I kind of I'm on a mind loop, like a broken record, because I totally agree with Jonny Arnett and sports and fitness rants, and you guys. I mean, the consequences are just not there. There's no consequences. And I have to say, I mean, the only person who has final authority on specific consequences for individual players is Adam Silver. He's the one who makes the final consequences call. If a team says there's some consequences, he can overturn that. And he can also make whatever consequences he wants. So everybody knows that he's the final word on consequences. And we're seeing what's happening. I mean, look, it's really sad because I feel like, everybody can see. It's like you guys have exposed like to the world in a way that never has been possible before. What's going on with the league? What's going? I mean, it's undeniable, and I mean, it's funny. It is funny. It's like Keystone Cop's funny watching LeBron James and these guys just freaking stumble around. But after a certain point, it's like, okay, we know it's terrible. And yes, Adam Silver just, he signed a 10-year contract last year. Okay, fine. He's going to be there. Yes, that's terrible. But you know what? Look, he could have signed a 50-year contract. The fact is, he built this league, and he is the one who's responsible for the direction the league is going. It's on a downhill path. He is not able, because he doesn't have the respect. He doesn't have the trust. He doesn't have. He's locked up with LeBron James and Clutch Sports. There's nothing. At this point, he couldn't do it if he wanted to. He's locked up. And I don't care if he's got a 100-year contract. He has to resign. The only way the league is going to pull out of this tailspin it's in is if Adam Silver resigns. And I'm sorry, there's got to be like a movement or something to start putting pressure on him to go, because that's the only thing at this point that I see is saving this league.
Well, ratings are down, viewership is down, and yet it doesn't matter. So if you have concrete evidence like that and it still doesn't matter, then I don't know what does. The revenue's increasing, but with the human population and the distribution, of course it's up. I mean, are you kidding me? We have billions
before
more.
JJ Redick, got into his role as a coach through his podcasting with LeBron. It's obvious. But before he did that, he mentioned that he said, I'm kind of getting tired of being an engagement farmer. So,
right,
because that's where the revenue's coming from. That's people, like, as long as there's like enough people watching.
He's still an engagement farmer. Fucking Mr. Mic Dropper. Everything you say isn't worthy of a mic drop, for fuck's sakes. It's the Los Angeles mic droppers. I mean, these fucking idiots. Embarrassing. How many times?
Any one of us, anybody knows that if JJ Redick was, saw any like NBA player in a dark alley, what would happen? It would be over. I mean, he's still engagement trolling. But This is where the money's coming from. So you're right. It's like, okay, they're able to say, hey, we're making more money than ever. So we can, look at the contracts we just signed. Well, ESPN, even though they originally, in networks originally were making their revenue just from broadcasting and people watching with the ratings, they now are in control of a lot of online engagement, a lot of online, revenue. And so, okay, fine. You guys are, but how much of it is real? How much of it is, there's a lot of bots. There's a lot of like fake bots. How much money could Clutch Sports put into just having a whole office full of trolls? Easily. It's not like you would have to pay them that much. All you got to do is be like, okay, guys, just be a complete asshole and just like troll all of these guys, troll AOH, troll Sports and Fitness Rants. Go into the comment section and just tell them that they don't know what they're talking about. No, you guys are just like clowns. That's all they do. It would be seriously. It would cost them a tiny fraction of a percentage of the revenue they're getting to have a whole office building full of trolls. They just flood, and you're seeing it in the comments right here. People are. I responded to one that was like, AOH doesn't know what he's talking about. AOH is just a clown. It's like, come look. He just put up the link. Call in. Explain it. No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to, because you're just a troll. You're getting paid by, to sit there in a basement somewhere, getting paid by Clutch Sports. So what's going on?
It's not just the percentage being spent on LeBron trolls and promoting LeBron. You also can look at the percentage that could be spent putting into new people's minds the new stars, the people that were supposed to start liking now. Well, you're not helping people like someone new when you're invested in the past. It's not fair. It's not cool. But shit, what did Silberg say? Son of a bitch. Go ahead, Robin. You've been quiet for a minute. I'll regain my thoughts here. The call link is up, by the way.
I wanted to touch on what you guys were saying earlier. The other caller was talking about with we talk about Anthony Davis and the JJ Redick stuff, and the impact and the wins and losses and blah blah blah. I want a lot of people to think, man, that this season is the first year since Anthony Davis and LeBron James has been together that Anthony Davis is in fact leading the Lakers in field goal attempts. So he's getting and taking more shots than LeBron James, in fact. This is the first season. Every other year, LeBron James was leading the Lakers in field goal attempts. So when they talk once again about the numbers that LeBron James put up and they call him a pass-first player, that's not the case because he's been taking the most shots, and that's what we've been alluding to. The numbers that LeBron James has been putting up, he's been stat padding, taking all these shots, but not playing any defense and handcuffing Anthony Davis. And once again, reducing his overall impact on the game. This is why the Lakers have been consistent. But this season, Anthony Davis is in fact taking the most shots on the team. And you see the difference in Anthony Davis' overall production. And you see the Lakers. They may be inconsistent as far as their wins and losses on the road and at home, but they are 6-0, I believe, at home. And once again, we talk about the impact that Anthony Davis is having. This is part of the reason why.
I remember what Michael said that I spurred a thought. I not only have trouble watching the game, but I avoid listening to the commentators now because these are people who are supposed to have a trained eye. These are people who are supposed to give insight to the rest of us to help us understand what we've been watching. They're just lying to us now. They're just part of fulfilling a script. And that's pretty upsetting. Their actual job was to say, hey, here's what just happened in that first half. And now that it's glazing. It's like, hey, here's what did not happen in that first half. And we're going to say something else. I personally find that pretty upsetting because the footage I put on my channel is not CGI. It's real. I'm not here talking about it for no reason. And all of your rants, you're not basing your rants on nothing. There's something fueling what makes you want to say all of those things. Do you people actually think that paid sports analysts can't see what Sports and Fitness Rants and I are seeing? they are choosing to lie and pick and choose what they comment on. So now I not only don't want to watch the games, or hear the live game commenters. I don't want to hear the analysts either. The entire thing is just absurd. I mean, I think I've done as much as I can to expose this, and I think I'm at the end. This is just absurd. It's over the top, stupid.
No, you're right.
Well, you know, I don't know if you shared your actual story. Did you get spanked with a branch or with a belt or something else?
Yeah, I got the belt sometimes. You know, my mother, I would say, was more of a, you know, an opportunistic beater. So whatever was around, a broom, you know, a shoe. So, you know, yeah, something like that, whatever was around, you know. And my dad, you know, the way it went down for me growing up, as far as that relates, is once I got to a certain age, then my father went to my mother went to my father and was like, listen, now, you know, he's a man, it's time, you know. And all of a sudden, now, next thing you know, you're dealing with your father in a different capacity. As for when I remember him growing up, now he was coming at me like a man, not like as his son. And me and my dad have, like I said, this relationship where to this day, I have the utmost respect to my father, man. I would never second guess my father or dare to challenge that man.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you contributing to the topic and bringing the energy, Jonny. I appreciate you coming on. I think we pretty well covered everything. For those just tuning in, when this goes up, you'll be able to backtrack and find the footage that we analyzed today. But thanks for the super chats and the super thanks, and for the comments and those who called in. This is AOH signing off, and this is your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants. Say goodbye, Sports and Fitness Rants.
Yeah. Oh man, I love doing these shows with you, AOH, man. Like I said, man, I feel the dynamic between us, man. And like I said, man, shout out to everybody in the chat that came through, that donated to the live stream. We are truly humbled and really appreciative of any support that you guys give us. Like I said, man, you guys just commenting, calling up to the live show, it really means a lot to us. Like I said, anyone who's ever, you know, subscribed to my channel or commented on my videos, thank you very much, guys. And as usual, AOH, man, it was a blast once again, man. And everyone, you guys know the deal out there, man. You know, it's all about setting the record straight, man. And, you know, this is why we're here, guys. So I really appreciate everyone out there again, man. And you guys know